Welcome everybody to Integrated Medical Biochemistry with Dr. Bijoya. Today's topic is estimation of serum uric acid. Now this whole topic of serum uric acid will be covered under these 10 headings. So let us proceed. So uric acid is a heterocyclic compound with the formula of C5H4N4O3. Its systematic name is 2,6,8-trioxypurine. It is a colorless, odorless, and tasteless solid. It's the end product of purine catabolism, example adenine, guanine, inosine. It is a dibasic acid having two pKa values, 5.4 and 9.8. The water solubility of uric acid is low, causing easy crystallization. Now let us look at the metabolic pathway which leads to synthesis of uric acid. So uric acid is nothing else but the end product of purine degradation pathway. Now what are the purines here? Let us see. AMP and IMP, that is adenosine monophosphate and inosine monophosphate, break down to inosine. This is the common precursor for adenosine monophosphate and inosine monophosphate. And these two form hypoxanthine. Now the other two purines, that is guanosine monophosphate and xanthosine monophosphate, they also degrade to form xanthine directly. So you can see that two of the purine bases form uric acid via hypoxanthine, whereas the other two, that is guanosine monophosphate and xanthine monophosphate, directly form xanthine and then they form uric acid. So the common product which all the purine bases form is the xanthine, and xanthine is converted to uric acid. And uric acid is a waste product which is excreted out of the body. So what is the clinical significance of estimation of uric acid is our next question. As it is a waste product, then why do we need to estimate it? Actually, the concentration above 8 milligrams per dl is known as hyperuricemia. The normal range is will be discussed later. So any concentration above 8 milligrams is defined as hyperuricemia. Persistently high levels of uric acid will lead to metabolic disorder, which is known as gout. And this occurs due to the deposition of urate crystals in the synovial fluid of the joints, known as tophi. And high uric acid may also cause renal stones due to uric acid crystallization. So monitoring of uric acid levels is also important in cancer patients because they are undergoing chemotherapy, and this may lead to high degradation of nucleotides, which will lead to forming more uric acid. So such patients who are undergoing chemotherapy should be getting their uric acid levels monitored regularly to prevent renal stone formation. Elevated uric acid levels are also associated with other diseases such as ischemic heart disease, diabetes mellitus, metabolic syndrome, obesity, stroke, and kidney diseases. So these are the various reasons by which the estimation of uric acid becomes important. Now, what is the effect of pH on uric acid? The effect of pH is that it's a dibasic acid, so in acidic pH it exists as uric acid mainly, so solubility decreases. So in acidic pH the uric acid solubility decreases, and at alkaline pH it exists mainly as monosodium urate. Now, monosodium urate is the salt of uric acid. The salts of uric acids are 10 to 15 times more soluble in water compared to uric acid. So, because of the low solubility of uric acid, it has a significant role in the etiology of gout. Now, what exactly does happen? So, whenever there is acidic pH or there is more of uric acid, it gradually may form tophi or uric acid stones. Now, where is the tophi formed? The tophi is formed in the interstitial fluid of the joints. And what is it made of? It is made of monosodium urate. And the uric acids, where is it formed? It is formed in the kidneys. And what is it composed of? It is composed of uric acid. Now, what is the pathological that lies behind the formation of crystals of sodium urate and uric acid? So, whenever there is increased degradation of purine nucleotides, the urate levels increase and this leads to hyperuricemia. Now, hyperuricemia for a long period of time is called chronic hyperuricemia. So, when there is a chronic hyperuricemia, that is high concentration of uric acid in blood for very long period of time, whenever there is low pH due to whatever reason, it can be due to alcohol or it can be due to metabolic acidosis. Now, this uric acid, it will exist as uric acid only and it will form uric acid crystals. Okay, and if the pH is high due to alkalosis, then it will exist as urate, that is monosodium urate, and these will form crystals. Now, formation of crystals is rare in case of the blood, whereas of sodium urate, uric acid crystals are more common because sodium urate is soluble in water. So the crystals of sodium urate are not formed. So as you can see, the kidney crystals, there's high pH plus urate plus sodium. There is sodium urate crystal which is rare, and uric acid plus low pH will give uric acid crystals which is common. Now this is the picture of the kidney. Now the same thing situation if it arises in synovial fluid, then the monosodium urate crystals are common in the joint. So urate plus sodium will form monosodium urate crystals. So this is the difference in the two organs when there is hyperuricemia for a prolonged period of time. Now, what are the methods of estimating uric acid? So the method that we will be discussing mainly is the enzymatic endpoint method. It can be estimated in a colorimeter or a semi-auto analyzer. Now, the enzyme used here is the uricase PAP method. So, uricase peroxidase method. Now, uricase is an enzyme which will be present in the reagent, and peroxidase is also an enzyme which is present in the reagent. So, if the patient sample has high amount of uric acid or whatever is the concentration of uric acid, on adding the reagent uricase PAP, it will react to form allantoin. So uricase present in the reagent will convert uric acid in the blood sample to allantoin and H2O2. Now this H2O2 will react with 4 amino antipyrine which is present in the reagent to form a pink colored complex which is known as the quinonimine dye, and this pink colored complex is directly proportional to the concentration of uric acid. So if the uric acid concentration is less, the intensity of pink color will be less. And if the uric acid concentration is more, the intensity will be more. And this is directly proportional to the concentration, which can be measured at 550 nanometers in a colorimeter or in a semi-auto analyzer. The other methods of estimation of uric acid in serum include the phosphotungstic acid reduction method, which is a chemical method, and the direct equilibrium uricase method, which is a UV enzymatic method. So for measuring uric acid in a sample, we need to collect serum, or even heparinized plasma can be used. Lipemic and increased bilirubin sample should not be used. It should be avoided. Serum should be separated quickly as uric acid is related to cellular breakdown of RNA and DNA. Now the procedure here is you have to take 3 tubes and label them as blank, standard and test. And you have to add 10 microliters of distilled water in blank, 10 microliters of standard having known value of uric acid in tube labeled standard, and patient sample in the tube labeled test. And to all the 3 tubes you have to add 1 ml or 1000 microliters of the uricase PAP reagent. Mix the content, wait for 20 minutes and take the absorbance at 550 nanometers. This is the uric acid reagent, 10 microliter autopipette, distilled water blank, uric acid standard having 8 milligram percent concentration, and this is the uric acid test. This is the colorimeter in which we'll be taking the absorbance. The colorimeter is now stabilized at 540 nanometers, which is the green filter. Now in this green filter, we will be measuring the absorbance. With first it is, let us see the various tests. So you can see clearly the difference between blank, standard and test. The blank is clear, it has no color. And now we'll take the absorbance of all the 3 test tubes. So first the 0 has been set with distilled water. Now we'll take the absorbance of reagent blank. This is also colorless, and so its absorbance is 0 as it is similar to that of distilled water. Now we'll be recording the absorbance of standard, which is 0.16. Remember the concentration of standard is 8 milligram percent. So we know the concentration of standard. Now the absorbance of test is being recorded. First we'll allow the reading to stabilize. Now we get 0.18. So this is the final absorbance for test or patient sample, which will be used in the calculation. Now this is the calculation. The formula has been already taught to you. Now the concentration of uric acid is mentioned here, which is 8 milligram per deciliter. Now this is the reference range, that in males it is 3.4 to 7 milligrams per deciliter. In females it is 2.4 to 5 milligrams per deciliter in blood, and in urine it is 250 to 750 milligrams per deciliter. Now the interpretation, that is the causes of hyperuricemia, may be primary or secondary. So let us look at the primary causes. The primary causes are generally related to genetic defects or enzyme defects. Now here there are 2 categories of defects. One in which there is deficiency of enzymes, certain enzymes, that is the glucose 6-phosphatase enzyme of glycogen pathway, degradation pathway, or the deficiency of HGPRTase, that is hypoxanthine guanosine phosphoribosyl transferase enzyme of the salvage pathway. If these two enzymes are deficient, then the then the uric acid formation will increase. Now, the overactivity is the second category of primary cause where certain enzymes are overactive. So these enzymes include glutathione reductase of HMP shunt, phosphoribosyl pyrophosphate synthetase, and phosphoribosyl pyrophosphate glutamyl amidinotransferase. These two enzymes belong to purine de novo pathway enzymes. So if these three enzymes are overactive, then also the amount of uric acid formed will be more. So these are the primary causes. The secondary causes of hyperuricemia are as given under. The major cause is decreased urate excretion. 99% of the times in hyperuricemia, it is seen that it is because of decreased urate excretion that the serum levels of uric acid increase. The decreased urate excretion may be due to certain drugs which are mentioned here, or due to some renal causes such as renal hypertension, polycystic kidney diseases, chronic renal failure, or it may be because of various metabolic and endocrine abnormalities such as lactic acidosis, ketosis, which means ketone bodies and lactic acid increase will also decrease uric acid excretion. So, this you must remember. Apart from that, hypothyroidism and hyperparathyroidism are also two causes. Now, the remaining 1% cause of secondary hyperuricemia are because of increased urate production. So, what are the reasons that lead to increased urate production? It may be hematological due to myeloproliferative and lymphoproliferative disorders, polycythemia, or it may be due to certain drugs, cytotoxic drugs. It can also be because of ethanol. There may be metabolic and endocrine reasons such as obesity, hypertriglyceridemia, toxemia of pregnancy. So these are the secondary causes of hyperuricemia. Now, the causes of hypouricemia. When serum uric acid is 2 or less than 2 milligrams per deciliter, the causes may be due to decreased zinc intake, due to increased oral contraceptive pills intake by women, multiple sclerosis, or in patients that are being treated for hyperphosphatemia or chronic renal failure. Now, this is a rare condition. So, hypouricemia is a rare condition, however, one must know the causes. So, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to hit the bell icon. Thank you and have a nice day.